beasts, aren't they? Chuffed to bits. The smallest little thornback. I'll just concentrate on not losing the rod over the side. And his eyes. He's got amazing eyes. Doggy in the boat. Covered in mullet. There's a bit of weight to that, you know. And that's what we want, don't we? We don't want the same all the time. We want something different, a good old show. Hello and welcome to the channel. Today I'm in the workshop. It's been some time since I've done a workshop video. I think the last workshop video we did was at the end of the summer. It's now the end of October and things have been busy. So first things first, the log fire is on, the log burner's on, so there may be the odd crackle and pop, keeping me nice and warm in a t-shirt even though it's winter. Yeah, so what am I up to? As always, I'm in the workshop, beavering around, doing my bits and pieces, tinkering with my kit, making rigs, checking stuff, cleaning stuff, doing all the stuff that you've seen in previous videos, so I'm not going to repeat myself. I dare say I will at some point in the future, because you can only do so much. But I made significant changes to my fishing setup for this season. So I count October to October as the last season, and I fished with the Shakespeare K2s and the Penn Surf Blasters. Made the transition with the Surf Blasters, fishing half the season on mono, and then mono with a tapered shock leader, which is a standard setup for a lot of people, and then went through to braid, Barkley Whiplash braid for the second half of the season. You know, and just to show a variation in fishing. I like to experiment myself. I like to research stuff but then make up my own decisions. And that combination for price, the Shakespeare K2s, 15 foot plus rods, and the 8,000 or 8,500 Surf Blasters, amazing combination. Easy for distance, good bite detection. They come with 2 separate tips. I love them, absolutely love them, but they've gone. So I've sold the rods, sold the reels, and then I've split my focus. So I've split my focus into 2 very distinct ways. And once I start to explain, you'll see why. The K2s are caught everything from the 3-inch ting to 9-pound smoothhounds. Decent sized rays and everything in between. Absolutely love them. Lovely to fish with, nice kit. They lasted well. So I used them very hard for that whole 12-month season, fishing 2 or 3 times a week sometimes, definitely weekly. So they had 50, 60, 70 excursions where they went out and I used them for fishing. Absolutely brilliant. But they weren't going to do what I needed next. So I made a choice, and at the same time that I was considering this, Century brought out the Fireblade, and it is, you know, a sort of budget entry into Century's fishing range of rods. And I just thought, it just sparked my imagination, because I thought, do you know what, there's a lot of people that will probably follow the channel or do that same journey themselves and fancy dipping their toe into higher end rods, but are nervous about spending all that money. And the Fireblades seem to do the trick. They seem to bridge that gap. Lovely rod, thin blank. I've used these a few times now. Good quality as you'd expect, with one downside, and I'll come to that in a minute. Adjustable reel seat. So this is in the reel up position. So I've got it up the blank for casting, but you can put it in the reel down position, slide the whole thing down to this end, and get that extra length and work so you can load the rod. So whereas the Shakespeares were good overhead thump, easy distance with braid, very thin diameter, you could get your baits out there. With these you're going to have to use a different kind of technique. It's going to be more of a pendulum cast to be able to load the rod up and for the rod to then be able to return that energy that you've stored in it. And I'm no expert. So I'm getting there, I'm practicing, I'm trying. but I'm certainly not one of these people that's going to do slow-mos of my pendulum cast at the moment. I'm not quite at that standard yet. So that's what I've got. So I've got a pair of fire blades for smooth hounds, rays, tings, bass, general beach fishing, and because I've changed the rods, I've matched them with the reels. And spookily enough, I know there's a new one out. These are the Penn 525 Mag 3s, and I like them. They're small, compact. I've had these apart, and I'll get onto that in a minute. But match this size reel to this rod, perfect. And I don't know if you can see, a buddy of mine, Clive, cut out of bicycle inner tube, has made me a rubber grip. So when your fingers are wet and you're on the beach and you're casting, you lay that flap over the reel, knock your bail arm off, do your spinny round casting out, thumb off, that drops out of the way, and then you thumb on before you bird's nest at the end, before you overrun. So that is what I'm fishing with. This is predominantly my mainstay now. So where I used to fish with the K2s and the Surf Blasters, I'm now fishing with fire blades, a pair of, and 525 Mag 3s. They are my mainstay. I've used them, I think realistically, 3, 4, 5 times now, and I like them. Good bite detection from the tips, really nice, good quality feel. The only thing that lets these rods down is the bag they come in. So you spent all that money on the rod, and I can understand their thinking, you've invested all the money in the blank, the high technology blank. They come in a tatty old bag that's already fallen apart. Most disappointing thing about it. So I've bought rods previously, 50, 60 quid, and come with bags 3-4 times better than the Century bags that came with these. The Century bags that come with fire blades are shocking. And even if it's your entry level into Century, why should you be differentiated against? So everyone else's Century rods, all the top end rods, come with the Gucci bags that no doubt last. You buy a fire blade, you get a tap bag. Rant over. But that, yeah, love them, fishing with them. Going to do a whole season of my normal Solent style hound, ray, bass, flounder, tings, doggies, small straps, all of that kind of stuff, from Salesy down to Chesil. That's the bracket of area that I fish predominantly all along the south coast. That's what I'm going to be using. Century fire blades, Penn 525 Mag 3s. And that's one focus. That's like, let's say 80% of my shore fishing. And then here comes the focus. And I did spend some money, but I didn't spend massive amounts of money. I bought myself a pair of Ron Thompson accelerators. Beasts, these are absolute beasts. Absolute beast. So let's have a look at what the spec says on this. Let's have a quick look, because I've got to remind myself. Ron Thompson, 13'6", 4 to 8 ounce, 8 ounce plus bait, and they're like broom handles. And I'm not going to lie, they're heavy. They're heavy, but they're really robust, really strong. There's no finesse in this thing at all. I'm not going to get the tip out as well. You get the idea. It is an absolute beast of a rod. And what I've paired these up with, and I've got a pair of these, RTAs I'm going to call them, Ron Thompson accelerators. RTAs with some Daiwa BGs. It's all acronyms today, isn't it? And I think that's short for black and gold. Black and gold. Why did you buy those, Mark? And what is that heaving line you've got wrapped round your reel? Well, I think you could pull a car with this, because I nearly have. These are Daiwa BGs, 8,000 size reels, and these took over from where I thought the Surf Blasters sort of top-ended, maxed out. They've got a 40-pound drag, a really good quality, strong drag. Absolutely phenomenal drag on these. There are a few reels in this size range that are slightly higher spec, got a higher drag, but for these reels as a package, they are amazing, and they're proven already. I've used these already. So I've used these rods with these reels, and I caught my personal best 174-pound common skate from the shore in Scotland. So I've loaded these with 90-pound Spectra braid. Deliberately went low end, cheap braid. You're like, well, why have you done that? Why are you? Because it's like string. It's like string. And when you're going to throw this out, and let's be fair, if you've got an 8-ounce weight, a whole mackerel, you're throwing out a significant weight. To put any kind of bend in this rod, you need a significant weight on the end. Yeah. So I've used these, and I've caught with these. And what's worth noting as well is the termination end of this was, I'm going to put it up, he says, can't hold it, a Trident Termalink. So when I caught that 174-pound fish, I'm going to say it, that's the last time I'm going to say it, I'm not trying to brag, it's just for information, it was all hanging off a Termalink. When you look at a Termalink and its plastic components and its stainless steel doodads, you think, oh, is that going to be up to it? Am I going to catch a smooth hound or a ray on that? Or a decent sized cod? Dare I put it on a rig? Yeah, it surprised me, to be honest. I was willing to give it a go. Give it a go I did. And it stood me up. It stood me up well. And I landed the fish. I landed the fish in about 40 minutes. You can honestly say that from the shore it may take 3 hours plus, but that's only because I could beef it, put a good old bend in this rod, lift its nose up, and that helped me to land the fish in the time that I did. Benefit of that is it goes back strong. It's not as exhausted. It hasn't as an elongated battle where hours down the line it's so exhausted it's got a job to breathe, let alone swim. Fish went back strong. So I've got 1 Thompson accelerators, Daiwa BGs 8000. I'm not sure how they do these ones. Is it 8.5 or 8s? Oh yeah, BG 8000 written down the side mark. And I've got a pair of these, but it's not just for skate. So what else are you going to use them for? What else are you going to use those for? Well, I've got a plan. And it's on my wish list. Now, it's on the wish list of things I want to tick off, things that I want to share with you lovely people. I'd like to catch myself a decent sized conger. So I'm thinking piers, rough ground, double figure fish, fight like the clappers. I want to catch myself a big eel. I want to catch myself a big eel from the shore, and the RTAs and the BGs, the Thompson accelerators and the Daiwas, that's the next plan. So we've caught the common skate. I'd like to catch a big eel. The Fireblades are going to be my mainstay fishing. If I decide I'm going to go fishing tonight, somewhere local, along the Solent, Fireblades. That's what I'm going to do. In my inventory, because I'm a kleptomaniac, you can see, look at all the look at all the stuff that I've got. There's stuff hung up there, there's stuff over there, down there, under there, behind me. There's stuff everywhere. Behind the camera there's a motorbike. Yeah, so if I go out and do that, it'll be the Century Fireblades or the RTAs are going to make guest appearances for very, very specialised fishing. So that's that focused end. That covers 90-95% of it. What I've also got, and I do like this sort of stuff, I've got this weeny I've got this weeny little lure rod, and I've been totally inspired by the saltwater angler. I watch his videos, I love his stuff. I do put quotes and bits of quotes, that's not right. I do put questions and comments on his channel. I'm a subscriber. I've hit the bell notification. Saltwater angler. He does all that lure fishing for bass and stuff. Look at it. This is a tiny little, let's have a look, Abu Black Max. It's an 8-foot rod. 8-foot rod. And I flick and chuck it around. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I've caught some bass. And it's hard not to catch bass. River Hamble, top end of Southampton water, absolutely full of school bass. But yeah, that is one of my ones that puts a big smile on my face. Memories with the RTAs, hauling that thing in up in Scotland. Hi laddie, you managed it. The Century Fireblades, I've already had fish with those already. Memories with those. But the one that puts a little chuckle smile on my face, darn, don't do that Mark, you'll break it, is my little lure rod. And that's just a strap that holds it together. Because this didn't even come with a bag. It was that cheap. I think that and the reel, and I'm looking around for the reel, can't find it, it's in a box. Yeah, that and the reel, I think it was about £65. Awesome, absolutely love that. Love it to bits. So that's my focus. That's my focus for this coming season. So when you see me out and about, when you see me upload my films, and I'm talking about my rigs and my bits and pieces, yeah, that's what I'm using. So now that I've mentioned rigs, there's another aspect. So I know it's rude to turn my back. I know it's rude to turn my back. That is the mainstay. Smooth hound. If I go smooth hound, I go single hook. Ray fishing, pennel hook. That is the up and over rig. The up and over rig that I'll put a link to now. So I've been asked by a few people, oh, can I buy some rigs? Can I buy some of your rigs? Can you make me some? I haven't got the time. And it's not because I'm rude or ignorant. I wanted to, I would like to. I'd like to make people rigs, but I can't. I just haven't got the time. Struggle to keep up with making my own rigs because I burn my way through them. So I have purchased from a retailer online a set of rigs, and I'm going to go through a period now. I'm not going to disclose the name because if I'm not happy with them, then I'm not going to put my name towards them, and I'm not going to promote them on the channel. Not sponsored. Purchased them myself. I'm going to use them, abuse them, put them through their paces, smash them on both the rods, get them out there, bait them up, see what happens, and report back accurately what I think I find. Then I'm going to contact the person involved and ask if he would allow me to advertise them or at least put links onto my channel. That's the way I'm going to play it. I'm going to use and abuse them, see if I'm happy. If I'm not, I'm going to find someone else's and find someone else's rigs and do the same process. Once I've found them and I'm happy with them, I'm going to smash them up on the channel, put links everywhere, because people want to buy rigs. They want to know that they work well, because there's so many out there. There's so many out there that you're like, oh, do I buy those? Do I not? Do I make my own? Have I got the time? Do I need all these components? I've got boxes and boxes of components. But I understand that people just want 5 packets of rigs, put them in a box, go fishing. Happy days. I totally understand that. Likewise, I understand people want to watch a video, make their own, the satisfaction of catching on your own, and away you go. So I'm going to try and cover both bases. I'm going to try and find rigs that you can use that are easy to buy, not expensive, well made, good quality, good turnaround, good customer service. That's what I'm trying for. And yeah, so rods, reels, rigs. What else am I up to? What else have I got? Oh, fire's nearly out. Need to go and stoke the fire. So I thought I'd follow up and give some sort of substance to what I was saying earlier on. One rod bag. It's coming away at the corners. It's very, very poor material. And I know what you're saying. You put your money into your rod, you bought the rod. But if you buy any other Century rod, you get a different bag. You get a totally different quality bag. And if you follow the stitching all the way around, you can see it's starting to pull apart in different areas. It's not been very, and you know, It's already coming apart. And I don't abuse my kit. I do like to look after it, and I expect it to last. Don't expect to pay all that money for a rod and it to come in that. That's my biggest disappointment. It sort of taints the whole ownership thing, to be honest. I thought I was buying a high-end rod, entry level high-end rod, and the bag's took. You're only going to get honesty out of me. I don't make this stuff up. I bought this with my own money. Nobody's sponsoring me. Who would? Who would if I tell the truth? Let's have a quick look at the other one, because I haven't looked at I know that one's already caught my eye. This one's still bagged up. Bagged up. Yeah, it's starting to go thin. It's going thin at the bottom. And let's be 100% fair. 100% fair to the brand. This one, in all honesty, isn't as bad as the other one. Yeah. Oh no. Right. So in a nowhere portion of the bag, there is no wear to that part. There's no weight on it. Nothing rubs against it. But the stitching is just, the quality of the stitching is that bad that it's just pulled apart. So yeah, both bags are on their way out. They've only been used, I don't know, 5, 6 times, 4, 5 times, I don't know. So that's my only disappointment for a girl. Don't worry, we can try again later. And I know what you're going to say. Email Sentry. Get yourself another bag sent out. Really? Just get it right first time, eh? Yeah, so disappointing. I don't know whether I might try and source a different bag. What I might do is put my Sentry rods in a decent quality bag that's got Shakespeare written all over them. Why are you doing that? Because the bag's decent, that's why. Look after your expensive rod in your really inexpensive bag. Oh dear. Mark's going to upset people. I'm going to upset people. I don't know. I doubt if Mr. Sentry is watching my channel. He's got bigger fish to fry. Having just shown you my new focus for this year with the Sentries, the Ron Thompsons and the little Abu Black Max, my little lure rod. I've had a lot of fun with that rod. I've caught some nice fish with it as well. It's small because you're all scaling down, light tackle, light rod, but that doesn't mean that with all that flex in that rod that you couldn't hook into something bigger. But I've been focusing a little bit from the boat, casting lures and trolling as well. So I haven't had any success with trolling, but I took a friend of mine out the other day, Stuart Crane, out on the boat, and he absolutely blew me away, totally surprised me. Trolling a lure 50, 60 yards behind the boat, out in Southampton water, picked up a bass. It was choppy, it was windy. I would never have thought you'd have taken a bass trolling like that, but he did. And I thought I'd quickly go through, because it's helpful if you'd like to buy. So I think for under £100 you could kit yourself out with a lure rod kit with a reel and some line, some nice little braid, I don't know, 12, 15 pound braid, and a selection of lures. But I think the thing that puts most people off is what lures should I buy? And again, I'll say it because credit where credit's due. If you want to watch a channel, and I'll see if I can link the channel in some way in the description, the Saltwater Angler, because he's amazing and he's very helpful, helps loads of people out. But one of the ones, and the one that I think is my number one for Southampton water especially, made by Sidewinder, is the black minnow. So it's got a weighted head, it's weedless, so it doesn't pick up weed. The hook exposes itself when the fish takes it, but the rest of the time it's tucked away in the body, and it's a jelly back or jelly body and the paddle. and it's got quite a big paddle. You say, what's the significance of that? It's the action it gives. So the paddle puts the action in, and you'll see that action replicated in your rod. So if you're going too fast and it's constant, or if you're going too slow and nothing's happening, it's because nothing's happening at that end. So the Sidewinder black minnow, it's seen some action. This, I need to buy some more. I need to buy some more because I've mullered that one. Moving up a size, and it is up a size because it's got a heavier head, still a jelly body, but in the jelly it's got glitter stuff, glitter sparkles, and it's sort of a black minnow but not as natural looking as that one. And I've had bass with this, they like these. Casts really well, get some decent distance. It's a weedless lure as well, so the hook stays tight to the body, and if it touches the bottom it's got nothing that's going to snag, but if the fish takes it, it exposes the hook. Nice sharp pointed hook. I'll flatten the barb off slightly on this one, and again it's down to the paddle. So when you look at the paddle at the back, the action that this gives will be replicated on your rod tip. And what we found using these, and we were fishing in practically an aquarium, there were bass, there was thousands of school bass there. They'll follow it and they won't take it. So if you do a constant retrieve and this thing's fluttering away, the fish swim behind it, it's like, and nothing happens. As soon as you pause and the head goes down, they snatch it, because they're following it, trying to figure out, am I going to take it? Am I going to take it? Pause, head drops, and then you get smashed, and then you hook straight into it. Or what you'll find is bass use their gill rakers and they swim up alongside something and they thrash and smash about. They'll bump something and you'll feel a bump. Keep doing what you're doing, or stop, let it drop, and it will either bump it again or it will take it. And you'll see footage where I've caught bass on lures on the channel, and they will completely, I think as they open their mouth they suck the water in, they suck the whole lure in, and you quite often they'll engulf a whole lure like that. And it's not unusual for a bass to take a lure almost the same size as the bass itself. So black minnows are a particularly good pattern, and you can control the depth of those, because the faster you retrieve the more it will rise, the slower you retrieve the way it will take it, and if you twitch the rod the lure will literally skip and dance, and I think that pretty much turns the fish on. My third lure, what have we got? We've got five for the kind of fishing that I do with lures. Is a very famous lure, and it's a jointed lure made by Rapala, and this one is a J11S in a minnow pattern, and it says J11 on it but it hasn't got the S, so I don't know where I've got the S from. It's definitely a J11 because I can see it, and it's got a diving bib. So this lure will, if you flick it out into the water, it will float, and then as you retrieve it, it will dive using the bib, but it'll also swim from side to side as it's doing, so it'll impart a movement, and that's a little bit exaggerated. So what it does, it sort of shimmies as it goes down. If you look at it on the end there, it sort of shimmies using the bib. And when you read the packaging on one of these, it's designed to be neutrally buoyant, to stop diving and not rise on a steady retrieve 8 feet. And I think it gives a bracket of 8 to 10 feet. So if they're not on the surface and they're not on the bottom, we predominantly fish on the bottom for most things. If they're mid-water, a jointed bib lure like that. And Rapala, the quality is amazing. These are absolutely killer. Killer lure. Not unusual for the bass to take it in the middle. Sometimes they'll come up from behind, but it's not unusual for them to take it in the middle. So I leave the second set of trebles on this specific lure. Really good lure. Diving lure. So if we've done a pair of lures, the black minnows, that we can control where they go, up, down and indifferent. We've done a constant retrieve diving lure that will go to 8 to 10 feet. The complete opposite to that, and possibly the most exciting, is surface lures. And this is a Pinchenko rainbow. So you can see the rainbow colour. It's got ball bearings inside, and it's almost like a popper. So it's got that funny shape at the front, at the leading edge. And what that lure will do is jink and jank along the surface. And as it does, it's giving out all the symbols that a fish would think for distress. And bass love a fish in distress, because then they just smash it. It sort of switches on the switch. So we've got controllable depth, controllable set depth, and now a surface lure. So what I'm trying to cover here is 5 lures that doesn't just like you got to go and empty your wallet and buy thousands of lures. If you use these as a rough guide, look online, find the deals and bits and pieces. Maybe it's worth adding this kind of fishing kit to what you got. So just having just quick check. Axia Pinchenko. I haven't had much success with this yet, but I bought this late in the season. I think early in the season, early evening, dimming light, nice bright lure, surface popping, that's when that one's going to come to its own. And then my last one is not a lure at all. Well, I don't consider it to be a lure, but I think it should be in everyone's tackle box, because they are amazing. I used to fish with these as a kid. I used to fish with spoons. I think this is a 2-inch spoon, 1 3/4 inch, something like that, as a kid for flounder. Ragworm on the hook behind, absolute killer in sheltered bays, estuaries, until the demise of the flounder, and we have seen a demise of the flounder. Fishing with a spoon for flounder, because they're very predatory, but so are bass. And this is where I'm going to give you that one absolute golden nugget, and if you've never heard this before, you're probably not going to believe me. You probably might even try it, maybe not be successful the first time, or you'll be very successful and you'll be blown away by it. A 2-inch spoon for bass, tipped with bacon, streaky bacon. So cut yourself a nice long sliver of bacon. When bacon goes into salt water or in water, it goes really floppy, it goes fluffy around the edges. They love bacon. Up to you in your specific area whether they like smoked back, rind. I'll leave that up to you. But a 2-inch spoon with a 2-inch or 2.5-inch tail of streaky bacon, thin sliver, because what you'll find is they'll follow the spoon, they'll bump the spoon, but they won't necessarily take the hook. They won't just try and grab that metal spoon. The metal spoon gets their attention, gets them to follow. The streaky bacon works better than ragworm, works better than squid. Streaky bacon. On the hook, they love it. Absolutely go nuts for it. Use that on your little lure rod, absolutely killer. Piers, jetties, marinas, if you're allowed to fish near a marina, little bridges, estuaries. One of my favourite things is to little rucksack, the little rod, literally weighs nothing. You've got a little pack of bacon strips that you've already pre-cut at home, wrapped in cling film, and a couple of these, in case you lose one, a couple of little 1/4 ounce weights, just to weight it so that it will cast, and just walk along an estuary river mouth, and just cast and quarter, you know, there, haven't caught anything, 40 yards down, do it again, cast, quarter, move down, take dog for a walk, take your little rod and your spoon. Little 2-inch spoon with bacon. It's got to be bacon. Absolutely bacon. So I haven't done a workshop video for a while. I sort of hope that sparked your interest into where I'm going at the moment. I am doing stuff. There is stuff going on. I'm not just sat at home, fat, dumb and happy. But yeah, so very focused outlook on this year. So we are going to be chasing rays soon, chasing congers. Going to be out on the boat looking for cod, unicorns, and we've got some trips planned. If you enjoyed watching the Scotland stuff, we've got other stuff planned as well, and we're not just sat idle. So we're looking for different species, different things to film, different things to catch, show you on camera, and different areas of the country. So I hope that's been of some interest. As always, it's been amazing spending time with you. Take care, tight lines, happy fishing, and I hope to spend some time with you again soon. But from me for now, goodbye.